Hello, and welcome to this week's True Crime live stream. Hi, if you're new here, I'm FEARSONA. You can call me Fear, you can call me Sona, and I'm your friendly neighborhood True Crime VTuber, here to give you full body chills. Some of you guys may have seen my tweets from today, and yes, that's exactly how I feel. This case made me want to rip every single hair out of my body. And just, I don't know. Honestly, at one point, I was reading this story. I was researching this story, and I seriously was thinking, I would rather eat stinky tofu than hear about this guy ever again. No. Yeah, there was a lot of, I was very conflicted about this case. Because it's very interesting on one hand. On the other hand, yeah, I wanted to fucking rip my eyes out. And just eat stinky tofu for the rest of my life if it meant that I wouldn't hear about this guy anymore, or at least, I would feel that their justice was served in some way. Oof, here we go. I'm just going on a little rant, cause Jesus, you guys need to understand. This was it's just such a bad case. You have to buckle up, get ready, because this is gonna be a wild ride. Wild, I would even say wild east. Not Wild West, Wild East. Jesus Christ. Okay, so the case I've got for you today, we're just gonna jump right into it because I just want to get this over with, and then I want to chat and just unwind and hopefully forget about this whole situation. So the case I've got for you today is one full of plot twists and turns and prison escapes and statues and unfortunately many murders at the hands of one person who somehow managed to get away with it for years and decades to come. The story of his crimes had even been made into a movie, a TV show, multiple books, and to top it all off, just recently the same man had been released from prison, and that's what I'm gonna talk about today. I'm gonna explain it at the very end of this story because, yeah. And believe me when I say that it does not feel like any form of justice was served. Ever. Just mentally prepare yourself for that fact, because you're not gonna feel oh, this guy was rightfully sentenced and justice was served. No, you will not feel that way after I tell you this story. Also, Vlad, Kronos is selling what? No, he's not. Kronos is serving bongs to those who break the rules. So remember to follow the rules. Otherwise, a bong. But, okay, so, I'm gonna say, again, I'm gonna tell you to fasten your seatbelts and get ready for this ride because, boy, there's gonna be a lot. What you're about to hear will make you wanna, just like me, it will make you want to rip every single hair out of your body, and I don't mean the hair on your head, I mean every single hair on your entire body painfully ripped out, because you're gonna prefer to do that over hearing about this guy again and again. That's how badly this case was handled and how infuriating this guy is. This is the story of Charles Sobhraj, also known as the Serpent or the Bikini Killer. Okay, so in 1975, we're kind of starting from the middle. In 1975, a 21-year-old woman from Seattle named Teresa Knowlton decided to go on a life-changing journey to Southeast Asia. And when I say life-changing, it actually means that Teresa was going to shift her life by 180 degrees by going all the way to Nepal in order to study Tibetan Buddhism at a monastery that eventually, she meant to become a nun. So she was planning to go to Kathmandu and stay there for the rest of her life in a monastery. She wanted to devote her life to that place and renounce everything she's ever known. And on the way to Nepal, she made a few stops, just to experience this trip as her last journey in life. And one of those stops was in Thailand. It was her last night in Bangkok, and Teresa wanted to spend her last night of normal life experiencing everything the city had to offer. And on that very last night, she encountered a man named Ajay Chowdhury, who was believed to be Charles Sobhraj's second in command. So it's a very, very, very unfortunate situation. I would say like very bad luck, because what you're about to hear is like a streak of bad luck. So here, this story tends to be reported differently by various sources. One version says that Teresa checked into Hotel Malaysia, and that, that is where she first met Ajay, who then would take her to a party hosted by Charles Sobhraj at his residence in Kanit, Kanit House. I think that's Kanit House. I think that's how you pronounce it. So, Charles Sobhraj would host those like lavish parties at Kanit House. I keep pronouncing it as Kanit House, but I think it's Kanit House. So there she would end up being drugged by eating refreshments that were spiked. Then other sources claim that Teresa went out for drinks that night and met both Ajay and Charles at a bar, and that at some point that evening her drink was spiked with some type of date rape drug. Reportedly, despite being drugged, Teresa realized that what was happening, and when the two men tried to lead her outside of the bar, she was struggling. She was struggling with them. She was trying to put up a fight. She was even like calling for help, but she couldn't get away. And also, even though she was calling for help, like people would just not help her because they thought she was simply drunk. Charles and Ajay would just say like, oh, no, she's just drunk. Don't worry about it. We're going to take care of her. She's our friend. We'll take her back to her hotel. Everything is fine. So no one really helped her out. And then they managed to put her in the car and then drove her to Pattaya Beach in the Pattaya region. Sobhraj then told Ajay, so his second in command, to, quote, take her to swim, end quote, which basically meant that Ajay was meant to drown the girl in the process because she was so heavily drugged. And you may ask, why was she even partying with some suspicious man in the first place? Why did she even keep hanging out with them? Why did she decide to follow them to a bar and just go with them and whatever? Or like in one version, why did she decide to, join Ajay and go to Charles's house, to Kanit House to, party? Like, why is that? That's mainly because Charles was an extremely charming man. And on top of it, at the time, he would be frequently posing as a wealthy gem salesman or a drug dealer, also very wealthy drug dealer, in order to impress and befriend tourists and gain their trust when he would invite them over to his residence at the Kanit House in Bangkok. He would forcefully recruit the vulnerable people. So his strategy was basically first to somehow in some way help the person or people, those tourists, from a tough situation. I don't know, their money was quote unquote stolen, even though he would be the one to steal the money or passports or something like that to begin with. And then he would help them out. And then, those tourists, those people would just feel indebted to him, and they would want to, help him out or, pay back the favor. So he would usually either scam them out of money, or he would actually recruit them into his gem and drug smuggling team. Or simply rob them and just leave them. So another question is, why would Sobhraj decide to kill Teresa? This is like according to the Dutch diplomat that you see on the screen, Herman, and I'm not sure how to pronounce his name, but I think it's Herman Knippenberg or Knippenberg, who would play a huge part in uncovering Charles's crimes later on, like Charles's crimes, at least in Thailand, later on. And, you know, according to him, Teresa refused to join Charles's operation most likely. And because she knew too much and she was, you know, she was drugged, she knew that she was drugged by Charles and Ajay. You know, she was putting up a fight. Charles Sobhraj decided to get rid of her, to kill her. And in multiple interviews, Sobhraj would talk about Teresa and Teresa's murder, trying to pose it as if she was the one that was the drug smuggler and he killed her to basically take her off the streets because she was a bad person. And this is actually word to word quoted what he said about Teresa. So he would say, that girl from California, she was drunk and Ajay brought her to Kennett House. We know about her, you see. We knew about her, you see. We knew she was involved with heroin. I killed her because she was transporting drugs. End quote. What a piece of shit. You will share my frustration. You will share my irritation with this guy and just curse him out. Cuss him out. By the end of the story, I feel like every single person here, all of you guys here in the chat, will be calling him names. Because, yeah, this is just the beginning. This is just the tip of the iceberg. Okay, so Teresa's body was found in the tidal pool in the Gulf of Thailand, wearing nothing but a floral bikini. Her death was initially pronounced as accidental drowning, but months later, it would be revealed that in her autopsy and forensic evidence that, you know, there were high levels of drugs in her system, which would point to the girl having been murdered. So Teresa's murder is believed to be the first one that Charles Sobhraj had committed, and it's also believed to have been a trigger for all the other murders that followed, because he knew, you know, it gave him confidence that, oh, I can get rid of witnesses if there's anyone that I find uncomfortable to my, you know, my whole operation, I can get rid of them and no one will come for me because I got away with this one, which means, oh, I have a method and now I can kill more people if I feel that it's necessary. Mind you, he wasn't just one man with Ajay as a sidekick. Sobhraj wasn't new to this game of scamming, robbing, and recruiting people to follow him. He had already assembled quite a clan of followers in Thailand by the time he got to Asia. And even that trip was a major illegal operation. Like his trip from France to Asia, to, you know, how he ended up in Thailand, that was a whole illegal operation. And I'm going to talk about it because we have to go back in time to understand how he was operating, how did he find himself in Thailand, you know, how did he kind of settle down in Thailand in that manner, like how did he get the house and how did he get all those followers. So Sobhraj lived in France, and at one point, he did gain French citizenship through his mother, who was a natural-born citizen of Vietnam, which was a French colony at the time. And back in France, he would commit crimes like burglary, grand theft auto, various scams and robberies, and would somehow always get off the hook with a slap on the wrist with the justice system, with the authorities, and he would just like get out on parole after a few months in prison. And then he met his girlfriend, Chantal Compagnon, and she eventually would agree to go along with his crimes. Why? I don't know. Why would you? I don't know. I honestly don't have an answer for you, but she did go along with this. So for instance, in 1970, him and Chantal left France for Asia, and that was because Sobhraj was trying to escape yet another arrest and another sentence in prison, they would travel through Eastern Europe with fake documents and that they had stolen from other tourists along the way. So what they would do, initially, at least at the beginning, they would just steal their passport, like the documents, passports, and they would, you know, at the time, like back in the day, in the passport, you didn't have your picture like printed into the page. No, the picture was kind of like stapled to the page. So they would just like take it off carefully, like the picture of the actual person, then they would just like paste their own picture into the passport. So that's how, you know, they could use those passports. And wait, Kronos says parole shouldn't be granted for repeat criminals. No, but oh boy, I know this is how it's supposed to be. That's not how it is in this story. Okay, so you know, as I said, they would travel across Eastern Europe with fake passports, and then Charles would start scaling up, like basically scaling up his car theft and smuggling operation in Bombay, India. So they ended up from France through Eastern Europe, they ended up in India. But later he got arrested and imprisoned in 1973 for armed robbery in a jewelry, oh god, I can't pronounce this word as usual. So he would be arrested for armed robbery at a jewelry store in India. Okay. In New Delhi, which is in India. So you may ask, did he serve his sentence properly? Ha! No. Heck no. This is actually escape number 1 from prison, because he actually escaped with the help of his then girlfriend Chantal, by faking illness. So basically he faked being ill. They would like release him to a hospital and then he would just bounce. And this is just one of many. But luckily, he was captured shortly after. And then he would get out of bail because he would like call his father back in France and get the money to, you know, get out on bail. The moment he got out on bail, him and Chantal would travel to Afghanistan, to Kabul. That's when his tactics switched. And he would focus on robbing tourists and mostly impersonating them and like just tricking them by, you know, saying that he's a precious gem salesman or dealer. Man, I can't believe this is like the beginning of this story. But wait, there's more. There is more. So he was again arrested in Afghanistan, you know, this time. And lo and behold, there is more, because he used the same fucking tactic. The same way to escape prison. He faked illness, and then with his girlfriend Chantal... Oh no, sorry. So he faked illness, and then he escaped prison on fake documents. But wait, because this time he left his girlfriend, so he left Chantal and their baby, because by this time she was pregnant and she gave birth to a baby. He just left them behind in Afghanistan. He was just like, bye, bitch. And he fled to Iran. Why? Okay, so he fled to Iran. Chantal was like left stranded in Afghanistan. And then she decided to return to France with their baby and vowed to never ever see or hear from Charles Sobhraj ever again. Which is a good one. That's a very naive way to think, that she's never gonna hear from him. Oh boy, she's in for a treat. So before settling in Thailand, Sobhraj spent 2 years on the run, using as many as 10 stolen passports that allowed him to pass undetected through multiple countries in Eastern Europe and Middle East. At one point, Charles's younger half-brother, Andre, joined him and decided to become his partner in crime. Why? I don't know. Why not? I guess he didn't have anything else to do. He was just like, woke up one morning and I was like, I wonder what my half-bro is doing. Oh, he's on the run from the police in multiple countries, well, I guess I'm gonna join him. Because why not? This is a great idea. This is an excellent idea. Nothing can go wrong with that. Okay. Spoiler alert, a lot went wrong with the whole situation. Okay, so now Charles is joined by his half-bro. I love how everyone is just like, what the fuck is happening? Okay, so Charles is joined by his brother, his half-brother, and they both go to Greece. So this time they are in Athens, Greece. And they both get arrested because, they were still committing crimes. And I kid you not when I say this, Sobhraj straight up pulled another prison escape plan and fled the country. But plot twist, he left his brother behind. And the brother was actually arrested. Well, he was arrested in Greece. And then he was extradited to Turkey because they committed crimes in Turkey. And the Turkish police just like got him. And he was sentenced to 18 years in prison in Turkey. So, yeah, Charles just like left him in Greece to like in prison in Greece. And then the brother was just like extradited to Turkey and sentenced to 18 years in prison. Holy fuck. And he just bounced. Like, Charles just bounced. Thanks, bro. Great. Yeah, it's just like, family. I guess family only in pictures. Okay, so. This man is a traitor to his family. Yeah, he is. He's a traitor to many people. Many people. Jeez. This man likes to go get milk a lot. Yeah, he was just like, bro, don't worry about it. I got you. I'm just gonna get some milk and I'll be right back. 5 minutes. And it just became 18 years. Holy fuck. Okay, so Sobhraj met another one of his girlfriends, Marie-Andrée Leclerc, who was from Quebec, Canada. And he manipulated her so much that she eventually became his most devoted follower and partner in crime until the very, very end of her life. Okay, so now we're actually back in Thailand because they, Sobhraj ended up with Marie-Andrée in Thailand. And they, the operation is back on track. It's back in full bloom. Scamming naive tourists and recruiting them into his clan. In one instance, Sobhraj actually supposedly helped 2 former police officers from France by recovering their lost passports, quote unquote, recovering, their lost passports. And yes, if you're thinking what I'm thinking, yes, he absolutely stole those passports himself to begin with and, saved them, quote unquote. I'm just doing quotation marks with my fingers. But yeah, he, quote unquote, saved them. And it's unclear, but it is unclear whether or not he just scammed them or if he recruited those policemen into his smuggling operation. Okay, now, Jesus, I can't, and we're just halfway through. So now we get to the second known murder. The victim was actually a young Turkish man named Vitaly Hakim. His burned body was discovered in the area of the, again, Pattaya region or Pattaya area, where Sobhraj and his entire clan were staying, or were known to be dumping bodies by now. And then it was the double murder of Dutch tourists Henk Bintaya and his fiancée Cornelia Hemker that would trigger the slow downfall of Sobhraj's operation in Thailand. So he met those 2 Dutch people, those 2 Dutch tourists in Hong Kong, and invited them actually to visit him in Thailand and stay at his residence in at Cannon House. Charles followed his regular pattern with those 2, basically, either kind of helping them out with money or with passports. And then he would actually secretly poison the 2. He would use this poison that would make them sick. like the poison wasn't meant to kill them or anything. It was meant to make them like severely sick. And then, you know, him and his girlfriend, so Charles and Marie Andre, they were like nursing the two Dutch tourists back to health and gaining their trust. So basically, oh, you know, we're gonna nurse you back to health. And then, you know, Cornelia and Hank were so grateful that they, you know, would trust Charles and they would trust Marie as well. So they would just like help them out. They would be willing to help them out with anything. But before anything could happen, there was a problem, because when the second victim, so Hakim's girlfriend, appeared at the Kennett house, she started asking questions about her missing boyfriend. The girlfriend's name was Tremaine Carew. So she started asking questions. You know, her boyfriend is missing. She hasn't seen him for like weeks or months. I don't know. Like, I guess at this point weeks. But she hasn't seen him for weeks. What the fuck is happening? She knew that, you know, Hakim was last seen with Sobhraj at Kennett House. So she was, you know, she showed up and she was asking questions. So, you know, Bentaya and Hemker, so the two Dutch tourists, they actually see this scene and they are suspicious, because they're like, what's happening? Why is this girl accusing Charles of like making this man disappear, making Hakim disappear? What is happening? So they get suspicious. Lo and behold, you know, Sobhraj actually kills both of them, and their bodies were found on December 16th, 1975, strangled and burned in the same Pattaya Beach region, so Pattaya Beach area. And then remember, you know, the Hakim's girlfriend, who, you know, showed up at the house, the same girlfriend. Yeah, she was actually found drowned and wearing a floral bikini, just like Teresa, in the same area. So in Pattaya Beach. I don't even know how to comment on that. But yeah, so that is when Sobhraj had gained the nickname the Bikini Killer, because, you know, Teresa and Charmaine, they were both found drowned, and they were wearing those like floral bikinis. By the time the two Dutch tourists were identified on December 18th, so 2 days after the discovery of their bodies, Sobhraj and his girlfriend Marie Andre had fled Thailand and entered Nepal, using the passports of those two Dutch tourists. So they're like, okay, we're gonna bounce. We're just gonna use the documents. You know, they are gone. We can just use their passports and get out of here. I am now shiny hunting angry. Yeah, seriously. I can't. We're not done. Oh, we are far from done with this story, because it gets worse and worse. So it didn't take long before they committed another murder. So between December 21st and 22, literally within days of them arriving in Nepal, they murdered 26-year-old Canadian tourist named Laurent Carrier, I think. Carrier? I'm sorry if I mispronounced it. And then they murdered an American woman named Connie Jo Bronzage. And of course, Sobhraj and Leclerc stole their passports and used them to return to Thailand before the bodies could be identified. At this point, 3 of his French followers in Thailand started suspecting Sobhraj of multiple murders and sketchy shit. Which rightfully so, because yeah, he was committing murders and he was definitely doing some sketchy shit. So they, you know, the followers at Kennett House, they discovered some suspicious like documents of people who have been there before. You know, the people who were passing by, you know, like the people who stayed with Sobhraj and then suddenly they were gone. So they discovered some documents, some passports. And the 3 French, like those French followers, his followers in Thailand, they actually fled Thailand back to France in order to notify the authorities about, okay, this is happening with this French citizen at the center of this whole situation. Do something. But spoiler alert, they didn't do anything for now. Like at this point, French authorities were like, what are we supposed to do? I don't know. Like they didn't do nothing. Okay, so at this point, Charles left Thailand and moved temporarily to Calcutta. And you guessed it, murdered another person. This time it was this Israeli man, Avoni Jacob. And then Sobhraj used Jacob's passport to travel with his girlfriend and Ajay Chowdhury, so his second in command, first to Singapore and then back to India. They returned to Bangkok in 1976, so about a year later, even though they knew that the authorities in Thailand were likely still searching for Charles. Well, now they were getting like super suspicious. So, they were searching for Charles. They knew that there was something suspicious that was happening at Kenneth House. So their eyes were on Charles Sobhraj. But he returned because why not? Now enter Herman Knippenberg, who was a Dutch diplomat working at the embassy in Bangkok, and his then wife, Angela Kane. She's actually this big shot German diplomat now. I think she worked in different functions at UN, like United Nations. So the two of them were actually the first people to really investigate the murders of those two Dutch tourists, Bintaya and Henker. So Knippenberg and Kane were so persistent. They were way more persistent than Thai police. The Thai police were not doing anything. They were just like, man, I mean, you guys we need some evidence. Like we can't just, I don't know. Like they were just not doing anything to investigate this case, the case of the two Dutch people. Because it was kind of like back and forth. Knippenberg was from the Dutch embassy, and he was like, okay, there are two Dutch nationals that have been missing. We need to find them. So he would report it to the police, but the police would be like, the ambassador would tell Knippenberg, okay, you have to report this to the police. Like it's not the job for the embassy. So Knippenberg would report it to the police, to the local police, but then the police would tell him, hey, these are your nationals. These are the Dutch nationals. Take care of it. Like, oh, you have to come to us with hard evidence that there's something going on, and then we will take care of it. So it was kind of going back and forth. And it was going nowhere. That's why, Knippenberg and Kane decided to just conduct the investigation on their own. And they managed to connect Sobhraj to these two murders with the help of Charles's then neighbors, so neighbors from the Kenneth House, and they built a solid case against him. Knippenberg obtained permission from the police, eventually from the police, to search Sobhraj's Kenneth House apartment, and there he found the victim's documents, passports, belongings, a mountain of evidence, including poisons and syringes. So finally, they brought him, the Knippenberg and Kane, they brought all this evidence to the police and can you please investigate this person? Can you please issue an arrest warrant, something? And they were like, okay, I guess. So it took the police a month to actually issue an arrest warrant. And by this time, at that point, Sobhraj, Leclerc, and Ajay Chowdhury left Thailand again and escaped to Malaysia, because why not? Obviously with fake passports. Sobhraj planned to resume his gem smuggling operation, and allegedly he instructed Ajay to steal some precious gems for him. Ajay was seen delivering gems to Sobhraj. But here's the thing. Here's the plot twist. This is the last time Ajay Chowdhury has ever been seen. And there was no trace No trace of him, no remains, nothing, ever. No one had, like, there was like some rumors that, oh, someone had seen him in Germany, but this had been proven wrong. It was like a hoax. And investigators strongly believed that Sobhraj actually murdered Ajay to get rid of any loose ends. So maybe Ajay was having doubts. Maybe he wasn't, following along anymore. Maybe he wasn't like going along with Charles's plans anymore. So he just like straight up unalived him. Why not? And it was actually right before Sobhraj and Leclerc, so his girlfriend, left Malaysia for Geneva in Switzerland. So they were just hopping from country to country. I mean, yeah. I mean, we know by now. He was just like, murder, bounce, murder, bounce. And then finally, this is the point when Interpol finally issued an international arrest warrant for Sobhraj and Leclerc in May 1976, charging him with the four murders in Thailand. Hallelujah, finally. But this is not the end. This is absolutely not the end. So Sobhraj's next victim is believed to be accidental. So a Frenchman named Jean-Luc Solomon was actually poisoned during a robbery in order to incapacitate him, but the dose was allegedly too high and it ended up killing him. So this was accidental death. Doesn't change the fact that it was a murder, even if unintentional. I don't think Charles wept or cried after committing this crime. He didn't care, most likely. So Charles and Marie-Andre then left again for New Delhi, so back to India, where in July 1976, they were joined by two new members of their new clan. Those two members were Barbara Smith and Mary Ellen, Ether. The group then proceeded to pose as tour guides and trick a group tour of French postgraduate students. And obviously they were planning to rob those students to get their passports and again, like impersonate them. Sobhraj would give them poisoned pills, telling them that it's some kind of medicine for whatever ailment they had, which kind of, I don't want to say it's stupid of the French tourists to take suspicious medicine from a stranger, but it is kind of stupid for them to take suspicious medicine from a stranger. But, you know, as I said before, like Sobhraj was like very charming, very convincing. He would befriend those people. They would trust him, especially if he kind of helped them out of a tough situation. So they just took the medicine. The problem is when the drugs started to take effect, the three of the students realized that, you know, what was happening to them, what was done to them, that the medicine was like spiked or the medicine was something suspicious. And they immediately jumped on Charles Sobhraj and his accomplices, overpowering them. The students contacted the police and the whole criminal clan was finally captured in India, in New Delhi. So Sobhraj was charged with the murder of Jean-Luc Solomon, as well as the robbery and illegal drug use or drugging the French tourists. And then him and his partners in crime were sent to jail in New Delhi. While all of them were in prison, by the way, not Smith. I can't speak. This case is so long and there's like so much information that I keep messing up words because it's a lot of talking. So while all of them are in prison, Smith and Ether confessed during the interrogation, and then they also attempted suicide while awaiting trial. So they were still devoted to Sobhraj. They did confess that, but then they were like, oh no, we can't face him because we've betrayed him. So we're gonna, try to unalive ourselves and avoid trial. Meanwhile, Sobhraj built himself a pretty cushy life in prison. You know how? Because he had concealed precious gems in his body. And you can imagine how he concealed those gems inside his body. I will tell you how. Probably stuffed them in his anus. Yep. And then he would actually use those gems, like he would, I don't know, get those gems out of himself. And then he would just bribe the guards to get him perks in prison. First of all, ew. Second of all, what a scumbag. Even in prison. What an asshole. Like, literally an asshole. So, Sobhraj would turn his own trial into a spectacle. He would hire and fire lawyers left and right. Like, but, you know, when the trial finally started, he was just like, okay, hire me a lawyer. No, I don't want this lawyer. Another one, fired, hired, and so on and so forth. He demanded that his brother Andrei, who he previously left to rot in Turkish prison, to be brought to India to assist him. First of all, if I were this brother, I would be like, fuck you, guy. Fuck you, bro. Like, what? No, you left me. You left me to rot in prison for 18 years. Like, why? What makes you think that I'm gonna help you? But apparently he, you know, Sobhraj demanded that Andrei, you know, to be brought, you know, Andrei is brought to India, and he would, you know, he wanted his half-brother to assist him in trial and whatnot. I don't know. And as a cherry on top, Charles would go on a hunger strike in the middle of this trial. Because he was protesting against, I don't even fucking know what. He had like a very cushy life in prison, so I don't know what his problem was. I would be like, you know what? I'm okay with that. Let him starve. It's fine. Like, you guys let him do it. But I guess, you know, innocent until proven guilty, blah, 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 whatever. So he was ultimately sentenced to 12 years in prison. And his girlfriend, Marie-Andrée, was also found guilty of drugging the French students. But she was released on parole and basically went back to Canada. And it was on the basis of, you know, her having ovarian cancer. I think they discovered that she had ovarian cancer, and they allowed her to go back to Canada and get treatment until her death at only 38 years old. So I guess she didn't beat the cancer. She died at 38 years old, and she claimed, all this time, she would claim innocence, and she remained loyal to Sobhraj. And this is the end of this. No, it's not the end of this story. Did you think this was over and Sobhraj was obediently serving his sentence? No, absolutely not. So his bribe game in prison reached highest of levels. He pretty much lived like a prince in prison in India. Namely, guards would bring him TVs. They would bring him gourmet food. And you would think, well, at least the other prisoners were probably beating him up for it. You know, other inmates were jealous. They would probably like beat him up. No, he actually made so many buddies in prison that it was like a vacation resort. Like, he was so popular in prison. Everyone loved him in that prison. I don't know. Okay. This is the outcry of frustration. Where is he getting this money? Well, the gems! He still had those fucking gems from his anus. The ew gems. Like, literally, he just had that money, and he would just bribe the guards, or he would sell the gem and just have the money and just bribe them some more, because why not? What the fuck? Everyone's just like, what the fuck is happening? Why is this happening? I don't know. And this is not even over. Okay, so, you know, living his cushy life in prison, having all the plasma TVs and gourmet food, lobsters and parties, and everyone loves him. He would also give interviews to journalists and TV hosts constantly. One of them being Richard Neville and his future wife, Julie Clark. So those two actually went on a whole trip. They basically went, followed the trail of Sobhraj across Eastern Europe and Middle East, and they were investigating like what he's done and the alleged crime he's committed. They were very, very interested and also terrified of what he's actually done, while uncovering one by one all those crimes. Sobhraj loved, and I mean it, like he loved talking to those two because they were writing a book about him. And he loved talking to them about his murders, about all the crimes he's committed. And then at the end, he would just like deny everything. He would just say, no, nothing of this happened. I deny everything. And would claim that, any of his actions that he's maybe committed were all in protest and against of, quote, Western imperialism in Asia. So that justified all the murders and all of his, the smuggling operation and whatnot. Okay. So Sobhraj stays in prison to serve his 12-year sentence. And mind you, when the sentence ends, like at the time when this sentence was coming to an end, it would still be before the 20-year statute of limitations for crimes in Thailand. Like before the statute of limitations expired for his crimes in Thailand. So Thai authorities, they figured, you know what? Let him serve this sentence till the end, the 12-year sentence in India. Let's just let him serve it. And then we're going to wait. We're going to extradite him back to Bangkok, because if he is charged with 4 murders in Thailand. So if he comes back to Thailand, he's going to be executed for those 4 murders. Like that's how strict it was. They were like, yeah, we're going to execute him. So we can just wait until he finishes his sentence in India. We're going to get him back to Thailand and then he's going to be executed. Was he executed? You guys can practically see what shit is about to go down. And if you're thinking, I wonder if he's escaped, you would be right. You would be absolutely right, because in 1986, which would be the 10th year in prison for Sobhraj, he throws this huge party for all the fellow inmates and guards. And during that party, I kid you not, he drugged all of the guards with sleeping pills, and he walked right out of prison. He just walked out. Goodbye. He escaped yet again. What the fuck? Okay, I gotta go. I gotta calm down. Okay. So he escaped, but for a very, very short time. He was captured at a restaurant in Goa, India. And this is the statue of him in that restaurant to commemorate the incident. Great marketing. But for the restaurant. But his sentence in India, like you would think like, oh, okay, he escaped. So, but they captured him. So I guess it didn't work. No, because this was exactly his plan. You know why? Because his sentence in India was extended by 10 years. And you know what that means? It's exactly what he wanted. He wouldn't be extradited to Thailand anymore because of statute of limitations running out. So this was his plan to begin with. Like, he didn't mean to escape to, be free. No, he wanted to be recaptured so that he can avoid execution in Thailand. I kind of want to say genius, but also so fucked up. Like, I want to say genius, but it's kind of, evil kind of genius. Oh, God. Okay. So, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I just have to. That's terrible. Okay. Also, I'm having allergies, so my nose is stuffed, so I can't speak. I keep, like, my, my airways are being, like, blocked. Kept getting blocked. So, congested. Okay. This is a cartoon. Help pulling circus helping circus acts with tricks. Yeah, literally, I can't explain any. Like, I can imagine this as a cartoon. How is this real? How is this real? I don't know. Yeah, it's real. It's real. This is, yeah. I mean, there's a reason why it was made into a movie, and there's a reason why it was made into a TV show, which is actually on Netflix. I started watching it, and it's equally as infuriating. Okay, so this is what he wanted. He avoided execution in Thailand. And then in 1977, he is released. And at this time, he is released with no warrant for his arrest anymore. Basically, like, definitely not in Thailand. In a lot of countries, by the way, because the statute of limitations just ran out on that one. And he was allowed to go back to France. So he was, deported back to France. So Sobhraj returns to Paris and leads a very cushy life full of money, interviews, writing books, and so on and so forth. He also sold the rights to a movie based on his life for $15 million. So he is set for life. Like, not only did he spend 20 years in prison for, heinous crime, he also got released and he was rich. But in 2003, he actually decides to travel back to Nepal. And I guess what he failed in was to check whether or not he could still be arrested in that country. Spoiler alert, yes, he could. The warrant for his arrest was still outstanding, was still valid, and they were still searching for him. They were still waiting for him to come back to Nepal. And you would say, stupid, huh? I mean, that's weird. He was being so intelligent up until this point, like, so smart, so brilliant. Up until this point, like, he was smart with, like, how he managed to escape and somehow get out of the execution, the death sentence. So you would think, like, oh, this is kind of stupid. Many actually believe that he did that on purpose. Like, he went back to Nepal on purpose because he was lacking the attention. Like, he loved the attention of being, like, oh, imprisoned and, on the front page of any newspaper, any TV show. And he actually wanted to be in prison. Like, he actually wanted to play the victim. He actually wanted to be like, oh, I'm gonna just keep playing the victim, keep playing like, oh, I'm innocent. And, this was because of the confidence that he would be arrested and released again. So he knew that, oh, I can just play my way out of this shit again and again. So he gets arrested in Kathmandu, where police, finds him at a casino. He had a gambling addiction as well. The authorities promptly reopened the double murder case in Nepal from 1975, which resulted in Sobhraj being sentenced to life imprisonment in Nepal. So this time, he couldn't get away with it. Everyone thought, like, okay, well, he is sentenced to life in prison. That's it. That's the end of this case, right? No, cue another one of Sobhraj's dramatic campaigns claiming that he is innocent, he's been wrongfully convicted, he shouldn't be in prison, everything to gain attention, international attention. He would even plead with the then president, Nicolas Sarkozy, for intervention and assistance in Nepal. Because enter his past girlfriend, Chantal Compagnon. She actually did plead also with the authorities, saying that, oh, he didn't get any assistance from France. How is that possible? Why are you guys not assisting? I don't know why, because she knew how he operated. She knew that he was probably guilty. And even though she left him, like, he left her in Afghanistan with the baby, she went back to France and she swore, like, she vowed not to see him again. She was still, like, in contact with him at the time, and she was like, oh, oh, I'm gonna plead with the authorities to give him more assistance because he's being unfairly treated, which I mean, a whole lot of crap. And he had also, I guess, found himself another girlfriend in Nepal. And this girlfriend was the daughter of his own lawyer, who he married, like the daughter. He married the daughter in prison. Allegedly, he married her in 2009. But the authorities, the local authorities, denied the legitimacy of the ceremony and their marriage. Mind you, this girl, Nihita, she was 20 years old at the time, which means she was 44 years his junior. Just no. Just ew. Why? Fucked up. Also, he was in prison. He was a known criminal, international criminal. Why? Girl, why would you do that? Also, your mom is a lawyer. Is his lawyer. The fuck? So Sobhraj would appeal his sentence multiple times, the life sentence, multiple times, but thankfully the court would dismiss it every single time. They would be like, no, this is a bunch of horse shit. Like, get out of my courtroom. And the judge actually ordered the seizure of all Sobhraj's properties, which his lawyer, aka his mother-in-law, disputed, saying that, quote, judiciary is corrupt. I mean, no wonder, because, you know, she wanted some of that money. I mean, he had a lot of money. But I would say, lady, shut the fuck up. Okay, so Sobhraj was in prison for the murder of the American traveler Connie Jo Bronzage. And in 2014, he was finally convicted for the other murder from 1975 of the Canadian tourist Laurent Carrier. Or Carrere. I'm sorry if I mispronounced it. I keep like pronouncing it as Carrier, but it's Carrere, I think. So the sentence this time was 20 years in prison on top of the life sentence, the life imprisonment sentence. So yeah, you know, you would think, okay, we're good, right? This is where the story ends. This is absolutely not where the story ends. In 2018, Sobhraj ended up needing several open heart surgeries because of his age, because of his poor health. And his wife, Nihita, or quote unquote wife, even donated her blood to him for the surgery to go well. Doctors said at the time in 2018 that he would be needing multiple surgeries, like multiple more surgeries in the future. And yeah, this is how we get to December 21st, 2022, when the Supreme Court of Nepal decided to release Sobhraj from prison due to his old age and health issues. Having served only 19 years out of his life sentence, Sobhraj was ordered to leave Nepal within 15 days, and so he was deported to France and, you know, will not be allowed to come back to Nepal for another 10 years, which is still fucking light. Can we appreciate how this lady next to him looks? You know, looks at him, knowing who he is and knowing what he's done and being like, what the fuck am I doing sitting next to a serial killer? Why? I want to change. Like, you guys need to upgrade me to first class. This is what this lady is thinking. I know, a woman on his left is like, ew, get away. And honestly, all I can say is, fuck that shit. I don't wish death upon anyone, but honestly, I fucking hope that any of his surgeries, the future surgeries, just doesn't go well. I don't know. It sounds terrible. I shouldn't be wishing this upon anyone, but like, I don't know. As a surgeon in charge of his open heart surgery, I'll be like, you know what? Why don't we operate on his appendix instead? Like, I think it's a problem with his appendix, not his heart. I don't even know, because fuck that guy. That's it. This is the end of this story. He is free. He's actually free. I don't know if he's gonna be in custody in France. For now, it just seems like Nepal just deported him and he went back to France, and that's that. At least his money was seized, like apparently. But honestly, I don't think it's the last we are gonna hear from him. It's possible that he's gonna give some interviews because he loved that attention. He loved the media attention. This is the conclusion of this case. I don't like wishing ill will or death on others, but I do believe God's timing is always right, and I'm sure something will happen eventually. I mean, he is 79. Fingers crossed. Fingers very much crossed for something. No, I just hope that, you know, he's not gonna commit anything else like any other crimes, but I don't think he has to, because unfortunately by now he is infamous. He's gained a lot of popularity. Like his story is very sensational, and let's face it, like it's that's why I said at the beginning of this case that it doesn't feel like justice was ever served, because it wasn't. He's still well off. He will be, even if his money was seized, like if his properties were seized. I'm pretty sure he's gonna give more interviews. And apparently he was charging, like back in the day, he was charging $6,000 per interview. Any interview. So like newspaper, TV, whatever. Like he was charging $6K upfront. And he also like sold, sold the rights to his life story to, you know, the movie makers, but for $15 million. And then he also sold it to another person who was like writing a book, apparently, for $5 million. So yeah, that's, you know, money. Some people have an evil genius mind. He did. Yeah, like I think, I don't know. Somehow this was his end game. I don't fucking know, but he, you know, he made it. I honestly think like he shouldn't have, but he did. I already said it once, but it really is a miracle no one attempted to assassinate him. Surely there were public outcries or something. Well, I think he will not have an easy life in France, because I'm pretty sure there are people who are still angry with him, and not necessarily, he's not gonna necessarily be assassinated, but you know, maybe fingers crossed, you know. He's not gonna live for that long. I mean, he is 79. Silence of the Lambs plot. Seriously. That's why we need Batman. That's why we need Cat Batsona. He literally hacked the system. I don't even have any sort of explanation, like why, like how did it go so wrong? Like how did it go so badly? But it's just negligence. It's very slow work of the police, slow work of the Interpol, even though there was like an outstanding, you know, arrest warrant for him, international arrest warrant, and I don't know, it just feels like it just didn't really do anything. Even that arrest warrant, like, okay, he was arrested in Nepal for crimes in Nepal, but there was an arrest warrant for him even before then, so like what the fuck. During his surgery, he hears na na what na 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 na, and Sona breaks in a Batcat Sona. This is my theme song now. Na 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 na. Yeah, that's it. That's pretty much it. And yeah, instead of Batsona, it's Joker Sona. Let's put a smile on that face, on that appendix. So now we gotta get this guy put on the suit. Yeah, like, no, I mean, I'm just hoping, you know, he's gonna get what something, like some sort of karma, you know. I mean, I guess his heart being like not great, his health being not great, but it's still, no, I can't feel any sort of like satisfaction with like, oh, his prison sentence is his arrest. No, because he was very cushy in that prison, in any prison. But that's, yeah, that was a ride. That was a wild roller coaster ride. And yeah, this was some Looney Tunes plot armor. Yeah, it was. Quick, Emus, get the Cat Batsona signal. I say it's time we continue old traditions and have him blood-eagled. I don't know, like yeah, I don't even have a conclusion. I don't even have like, oh, I hope XYZ, because I don't think any of it is gonna happen, and he's probably gonna die of like heart problems or natural causes, old age or something, and it's just one of those instances where karma just didn't work and no justice will be served, and that's very unfortunate. Okay, that's it. He was very charismatic. He was kind of like Ted Bundy, but, you know, French Ted Bundy. French Vietnamese Ted Bundy, and he just kept... It wasn't even, oh, he wanted to escape to escape at the beginning, maybe. No, he just wanted to escape at the end to like, oh, you know, I'm gonna escape this time, but honestly, I'm fine. Like, in prison, I'm also fine, so I'm just gonna escape to avoid death, like, penalty, and otherwise I'm just gonna be cushy in prison, and I'm fine. Felt like listening to a Family Guy shenanigans playlist, all in alphabetical order. Seriously. This was what Death Note should have been. Serious. Oh, they should have done this. In all seriousness, though, he should still be paying for what he's done. Absolutely, yes. He should. Will he? Probably not. It just feels like he won't, and that's the fucked up part. So you guys spread the word. Maybe you know, French people will do some rebelling. Maybe they will do like they will throw an outcry of, you know, rage against this guy, and hopefully you know, he's also like jailed in France, or at least like closely watched. I don't know, in a house arrest or something. He just can't be like free out in the open enjoying his life. You know, this is just not how it works. To me, he should still be in prison, and he should be serving his sentence until the end of his life, with no perks in prison, no matter like how much money he might have. Just no. Like, definitely, absolutely no. Okay. IDK about you guys, but Sona's avatar is frozen for me, and it's making a funny wave. Oh, is it? Is it frozen? Like, is it... Wait. Okay, you guys. Can you let me know if my avatar is like frozen, if anything is bad, like there's some problems with the stream at the end? Honestly, it's the end, so it's fine. Always celebrated for their excellence. 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 The French petition to return to the guillotine. Oh my god. Okay, maybe not that, but like at least prison, you know, like all I'm asking is like just prison. That's it. Not for me. Okay, so it's not frozen. Alrighty. So that is it for today. I need to rest. This case was fucking long. Doing research on this case was long, infuriating, exhausting, and just so, I don't know, vomit inducing. I just like nausea inducing. I was not physically nauseous just at one point. Not even because of the gruesome murders, because they weren't like that gruesome. But because of this guy's whole persona and just what he did. I'm just tired. I'm just tired of this case. Okay, so that's it. This week, what do we have this week? This week we will have a couple of streams, gaming streams. I will try to play some funny games, very fun games. You guys will see, because I got like recommended some of the games, like my friends recommended me something, and it's gonna be one of those very frustrating games. And when I say frustrating, like imagine a frustrating game and take it up like a notch or two. Well, I mean, or a notch or two or 10. Because I've seen like snippets of this game and I'm like, what? Why? I know I'm gonna kind of lose my shit, but during that stream. But yeah, I'm gonna play some very frustrating games this week. There's gonna be a true crime live stream on Patreon on Saturday. Was it Saturday or Friday night? No, wait, it's gonna be on Friday night. So there's gonna be a true crime live stream on Patreon. So additional case, bonus case on Patreon on Friday night. Then there's definitely gonna be another true crime case on Sunday here on YouTube. There will be a scary story stream. And we'll see what else. I'm gonna post the schedule sometime today. But that's when's the next Among Us stream? Oh, I gotta plan for that one. Probably like I would. There's gonna be one this month. Or anything with chat stream. There is definitely gonna be one this month. So I will be joined by Patreons, and then I will also try to, you know, get the chat to join a game session with me. Okay, that's it. You guys, I just wanted to thank all of the Patreons. Let me read out the list. Let me just open it because I didn't open it. Forgot to open it. But yeah, let me read out all of the Patreon names. Thank you so much for the continuous support. Can't pronounce that word for some reason. Okay, let me just read the list of my Patreons. Carno Turtle, Tyrant Kitsune, Scholastica, CW, Esau, Esau, IDK Bacon 53, Rudel Ganoodle, Nonan, Windstorm 555, Ian, Bubak, Hex Gengar, Zinc, Leonovsky, Kanta, Brandon S, Christopher McCanns, Kav, Sienna, Ann Wen, Chris, another Chris, Hopeful Space Pitaco, Bright Slap, Follower of the Twin Goddesses, Game Leader, Lost Nemesis, Pistol Disco, Chris KFP Feather Somber, Comber Guac. I never know how to read that name, I'm sorry. DMJ 2004, Mr. Ridgway, Anthony Vivenzio, Silverjack, Chris, Imyth, Christopher Holgate, Mafshishi, Nicholas Holly, Dejon Active, and Ketsuya. So you guys, thank you so very much for deciding to join Patreon and for supporting my channel, as well as for, you know, thank you for showing up for the bonus True Crime streams. So if any of you are interested in bonus cases, bonus streams, exclusive series, which is the Drunk History series, and more, there's a lot on my Patreon that's already there, and there's a lot coming to Patreon. So you can check it out. The link is in the description of this video, as well as in the live chat. Okay, that's it. I am fucking tired. I need to sleep. I need to rest and not think about this guy and this case, even though I'm gonna continue watching the TV show because I like to make my life harder than it should be. That's that. Okay, and also thank you so much to the mods in today's chat. So Kronos, and yeah, I think it was Kronos. Was it Kronos or was it someone else? No, I think it was Kronos. Okay, Kronos, thank you so much for modding today's stream. You guys, thank you so much. Stay safe out there. Always lock your doors and windows, bury your hexes, and until the next time. Bye.